You guys ready? All right. Well, good to see everybody. It's been a little while since, I've talked to you guys, so excited to talk to you guys. Just a few thank yous just before we get started. Just talk about the season, and then I'll answer any questions that you guys may have. First off, just wanted to acknowledge our ownership, Dave and Nicole Tepper. They're a great example of how to operate a team, selfless, no egos, and they've just been a big reason for our success with how they operate together and support and trust myself, Dave, and Brant to do our jobs, and we definitely don't take that lightly. Christy Coleman and the business side, we appreciate their support. Getting the game day atmosphere the way that it's been awesome, and she's done a great job on that side. My crew, working with Brant, Jared Kirksey, Lee McNeil on the pro side. We have a lot of good chemistry going on over there, and they're great teammates, and we're looking forward to putting a free agent plan together, setting the draft board, and getting this thing going. Really want to thank our fans for all the love and support that they gave us throughout the year. The environment was just unreal on Saturday night. Kind of gave me chills sitting up there, just looking at the crowd, looking at the fans, looking at the excitement, the city coming together, this region coming together, the Carolinas. It's just amazing what football can do to a community. So it was just awesome to see, and I can't thank the fans enough for coming out, supporting us, and just showing us love all season. Wasn't perfect throughout the season, but you guys stuck in there with us through thick and thin, and again, we really appreciate that. Coach Canales and his staff, they spend a lot of hours in the office away from their families. That definitely doesn't go, we don't take that lightly. We know they put a lot of work in and they're away from their families. So we really appreciate them just for their hard work and dedication to the team throughout the season. Talk about Dave a little bit, just his leadership, how optimistic he is, his football acumen, and just his ability to, develop our players, lead our players, and he's just done a great job of really shifting the culture and, making this culture a winning culture. Like, we're expecting to win now. We're not, coming into a season, unsure. We feel like we know where we are. We feel like we know who we are, and we're just ready to get to work, and we got to earn everything that we get, we have to earn. We know this season's going to be wiped away. 2025, we're going to transition into 2026, but we got to earn everything. We got to earn everything, and it's only going to be by hard work, our players staying together, and I've just really seen our locker room just really come together, family environment. This is the type of environment that we want to create here in Carolina, is a family environment that attracts all type of free agents, all type of guys. Obviously, we're going to select the right guys for our culture, for our scheme, and I just think Dave's done a great job, and he's definitely a coach that I would want to play for if I was still playing. Also, just want to recognize and acknowledge the people behind the scenes, the equipment staff, getting the players on the right cleats, the right equipment, washing the clothes, the chefs making the food, fueling our players, our analytics department giving us information that we can make informed decisions on. So they're behind the scenes. They're not always talked about, but obviously we really appreciate them. Special shout out, just to Denny Kellington and Josh Hingst. We went from the bottom half of being injured last year to the top half, this year. So we went into the playoffs with a pretty much healthy team, and that's hard to do in this league, and I just think they've done a great job, so I just wanted to shout them out. In terms of the season, I love the way our players competed on a day-to-day basis and a game-to-game basis. It wasn't always perfect, but you can really feel the chemistry and the continuity of our team really come together as the season went on. Our locker room was tight. Again, it was like a family environment in there, and that's what we want here. We want these guys to be close because we're only going to go as far as the players, they got to be close in order to go where we want to go. And this is definitely a close locker room. It's made up of the right guys. And from my seat, we'll continue to add guys, that fit the mold for the type of player that we want to add into our culture. We have a high standard of play. We're smart, tough, physical, high effort, play with high energy. And, we just have to uphold that standard on a game-to-game basis. No matter where we play, who we play, what time we play, we have to uphold that standard. And I know our players know that, and they're hungry to get back at it and attack the offseason. As it pertains to the roster, again, I feel like we have a strong foundation of guys. I think that it's definitely something foundation-wise that we can definitely build upon. And that's my job and my team's job and coach's job and all of us collaborating together to bring the right guys and build this thing the right way. We're still going to be patient. We're not going to be reckless. But we're going to definitely attack our weaknesses like we've done in the past couple of years. So, with that, I'll open it up to any questions you guys have.
Dan, how much can you share with us regarding Evero's contract extension?
Yeah, so we aligned him and Dave up, before the season, and we think highly of EJ. EJ has a really great football mind. We love his defense. It's a really aggressive defense. And, I think as we continue to add players to the defense, I think that you'll see this defense kind of come together. We made a lot of improvements on the defensive side of the ball this year, and we'll continue to get better and add pieces. And, we're up for that challenge.
That's you aligned his contract and Canales' prior to the 25 season?
Yes, correct.
You said, when you were first brought in this role, how it was your dream to see the stadium with fans waving towels as you'd seen as a player in 2003. With what you saw Saturday, what does that tell you about where you are at this point versus where you thought the team would be right now?
I think it definitely tells us that we're on the right path. Again, though, just to hit on that a little more, but that atmosphere was unbelievable. I was here in 2003, 2004 when we played the Cowboys in that playoff game, and I've never seen the crowd like that. So again, that was unbelievable and really a credit to them for showing up and showing out and supporting our team. So yeah, it's definitely what I envisioned when I took this job. But I see even bigger things moving forward to where this is going to be a consistent thing and not just a flash in the pan.
Dan, there were maybe some questions about Bryce, even though he finished last season, on a high note.
Yeah.
But still, this was a big year for him. What did you see out of him, and do you feel like he's like the franchise?
Yeah, we're definitely, just to hit on Bryce, we're going to pick up his fifth-year option. I think Bryce has shown, flashes of greatness this year against high-level competition. I think just as a team, we weren't as consistent as we wanted to be on a game-to-game basis. But I think that's part of what happens when you have a young team. You have a young team that's building continuity and, kind of figuring themselves out. So I think Bryce did a great job this year and just really excited about moving forward and him still developing chemistry with our receivers, and just the pieces around him that we had.
What did you see that you liked out of his play?
I would say, if you look at Bryce on a day-to-day basis out there, his work ethic out there, his ability to command the huddle out there, take control of the line of scrimmage, make the proper checks, make the proper protection calls, and then really having that translate into Sunday or Saturday or whenever we play. I just felt like he had a lot more command out there this year, and really just kind of like coming into his own and getting better every week, and just attacking every day. And that's really all you can ask for, just from any player, let alone your quarterback.
And Dave didn't have a real good idea of Icky's timeline. A couple days have passed since we talked to him. Do you have a better idea of what it might look like, and how does that injury impact the contract discussions that y'all have been having?
So he didn't get a surgery yet. So timeline wise, I really don't have anything for you guys. So we're going to obviously take that on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. From my seat, obviously, we have to plan accordingly, and which we'll do. We'll gather up, I'll talk with Brand, I'll talk with Coach Canales. We'll come up with a plan as we gather more facts. But yeah, I think it's just too early right now to, really know timeline-wise when he's going to be back.
Contract discussions?
Yeah, contract stuff. Again, that stuff, it's 2 days removed from the season, so myself and Brand and Coach Canales, we'll all get together. We'll talk about, a plan moving forward, and we'll go from there.
Dan, you've improved by 3 wins in each of the last 2 seasons by using that patient, not reckless approach. But you guys have had selective splurges. Do you anticipate the offseason being similar to that? Or do you, with the win now mentality, do you find yourself being more willing to maybe go at the approach a little bit more aggressively?
Well, I think we're always going to have the win now mentality. Even last year we had the win now mentality. We're going to do what's best, just for the organization, and we're going to trust our plan. We're going to trust our processes. We're not going to be reckless, but at the same time, we're going to bring talent in here. We're going to make moves that we, feel like will help us out in the future, and who that is, whether it's a free agent or draft, or we're going to attack it, and we're going to make the right moves.
At the 19th overall pick coming up in the draft, a little lower than you had been picking in recent years. What's your general early approach to that? What do you think of the draft class, and what do you prioritize?
Yeah, I think we've done a lot of work already on the draft. I think we already have 600 and some guys on the board. It's early. Picking at 19, there's going to be a good player there. So we're going to have optionality on what we want to do. I think everything's on the table. I think there'll be a really good player there if we want to pick. But again, I'll leave all options on the table. And at the end of the day, we'll get a good player right there.
Value of Rico Dowdle, he seemed to be kind of up in the air. He was not really happy with his carries the last part of the season because they decreased. Can you explain why they decreased? It had anything to do with not planning to re-sign him? Just kind of where you...
No, I think it's more just a flow of the game type thing. And, there's only so many carries to go around. There's only so many drives. And, I think it just kind of worked out that way. And, him not being as productive on the back end, or just our running backs in general not being as productive on the back end, I think all that works together. The offensive line has to be right. Our receivers have to be blocking right. So it's not just one guy or one thing. They all have to work together for the run game to get going. In terms of Rico, re-signing him, or, I think it's still early in the season. I think you let those guys, take a break, just kind of assess if this is the right fit for them. And we'll do the same thing upstairs. We'll talk about a plan of action, and then we'll go from there.
Rico strongly suggested, again online yesterday too, that he might be looking to move on. Has he given you that indication?
I met with him. I had a really good conversation with him at the, in my office upstairs. I meet with all the players before they leave for the off season. He didn't give me any indication of that. I thought we left on a good note. Yeah, I mean, we'll see where it goes from here. We'll just take it day by day.
And staying in the running back group, Jonathan Brooks obviously didn't play this year. What is his future with this team as it stands right now? Yeah,
I mean, first off, just seeing Jonathan around the facility every day, the way that he attacks his rehab, the way that he attacks the weight room, just always around the building with a smile on his face. He's been through so much adversity, and he's overcoming it, and he's looking great. He's running really well. I saw him out there running routes the other day. He looked great. So, yeah, he's doing really good. I'm really proud of him and the way he's attacked this, rehab process. It's not easy, and he's done great at it. So we'll see where he's at. Again, we'll take it like week by week, month by month, but he's headed in a good direction.
To follow up on that question, Trevin Wallace and Xavier Legette, other members of that draft class, had kind of rough years. Where are you at with the two of those guys as starters on your team, as well as their outlook for the future?
Yeah, I feel good about them. I think, we're also quick to, judge these guys, and, they're maybe not developing as quick as, the outside ones, but I think you got to be patient with these guys. I think you got to let them develop. I think you got to let them grow. I think Trevin's still 22 years old. Xavier, it took him till his senior year to really start developing and coming into his own at South Carolina. So I think, we take a patient approach with those guys. We let them develop and keep getting better, and, we work with them and keep coaching them, developing them, and helping them out.
And back to the point about the 19th overall pick, and you've got 600 names on the board. As you go into this draft, as you're looking at your roster, and I know you got to figure out free agency to set up the draft, but do you have a general area of where you're looking to try to make improvements with the draft and bringing guys in to get into the culture of the development? And, I mean, the rookies this year played a ton of snaps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of guys. I would think this entire class and the philosophy going forward is similar.
Yeah, I think, with the 19th pick, I think you never really want to force a need. Now, if it's equal and you have two guys up on the board and they're even, I'm always going to go with the need. But yeah, I think with that pick, ideally you draft best available. You don't force a need, because I feel like, in my experience, when you force a need, it really doesn't always turn out that good. So we're just going to draft good football players, and then same thing with free agency. We're just going to sign good football players. So that doesn't mean we're not going to attack the needs in some way, whether free agency or draft, but definitely just want to bring good football players, good culture people into this building.
Have those needs identified?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got them. Yeah, definitely. I think some of the needs aren't a secret. So I'm not going to, just from like a competitive advantage, really like name all the needs up here.
And back to Evero, you extended him on the heels of one of the worst seasons defensively.
Yeah.
Why do it at that time, and what gave you the confidence in him to extend that contract?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at EJ, if you're around him every day, you see the way he works, how smart he is. I believe in his defense. I believe in his philosophy. He's really good at developing players. Again, it's my job as well to, equip him with the right personnel. And again, it's a patience thing to where, we're going to attack those needs and we're going to get better across the board. And, I think as you see us keep adding talent onto our roster, players on our roster developing, I think you'll see that defense keep ascending.
And
how does your pitch to free agents change when you have tangible results? to offer as opposed to a plan for building something?
Yeah, I think definitely having some success makes it easier to attract those free agents. But I would also say, like, having a coach like Coach Canales, I think guys are going to want to come here and they're going to want to play for him. Just the way that he carries himself, the enthusiasm that he has on a day-to-day basis, the way he leads those guys. This is a fun environment. We work really hard, but we also have fun doing what we do. And if I was a player again, I would want to play for a coach like that.
Are you comfortable with him continuing to call plays moving forward? Is that something that's still part of the plan, or is I know that at times he's expressed some frustration on Sundays with the way the offense ran. There's been some discussion around that, but
yeah,
you curious your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Coach does a great job first and foremost. I think that's really his call if he wants to, promote somebody into being the play caller or bring somebody from the outside. We haven't really talked about that. But that is something that I'm sure we'll talk about. We talk about it every decision together. That's just something else that I'm sure we're going to talk about. And, if he feels like he needs to add somebody or promote somebody into being the play caller, then I trust him.
On Bryce, you're picking up the fifth-year option. Might you start in on a contract extension talk prior to this next season, or do you want to see him play out that 26th season and then address the contract?
I think that's something that Brant and I are still talking about. We're still talking through the roster and just kind of like where things look from the big picture view. That's stuff that's still up in the air that we're still working through at this point.
Sure, coming in, you had a plan, right? This is what I want to do year one, year two. After year two, with the NFC South Championship, with the playoff appearance, do you feel like you're ahead of schedule?
From the inside, I really don't put timelines on it. Kind of leave that for the outside. I think for us, we have a vision. We have a plan moving forward. We're going to stick to that plan, and we're going to build this thing one brick at a time. We have a good foundation right now. I think you're never one player away. So I think we just got to be smart. We got to be disciplined in our process and our approach, like we've been, and just stick to that motto.
But Dan, plans obviously change. Like EJ's having interviews with other teams. If he were to leave, do you feel like you have a defensive roster that can adjust and adapt to multiple schemes? And if you were to go internally, do you feel like you guys are prepared in case EJ were to get one of those head coaching jobs?
Yeah, I think, obviously, if he gets a job, we're going to have a plan of action and we're going to go from there. But yeah, I feel like our personnel, I think it can fit any scheme. So if we need to adjust to a 4-3 or 3-4, if that comes, I feel like the personnel, we'll be able to adapt and adjust really quickly.
Go back to Bastian's question about timeline. You mentioned being patient with the defense. Dave has made a comment a couple of times about every mistake a rookie makes is an investment in your future. What is the balance between being patient, knowing you're building something long term, and wanting to address stuff right away?
Yeah, I think, again, it comes back to just being patient and developing your players. I think we're always so quick to want to go get this guy or go get that guy, but sometimes the answers, they're already on your roster, and sometimes they're not. So, that's for us to look at, assess with the staff and talk through those things. But again, we've been, since I've been in charge, per se, we're always going to attack those needs, and be aggressive in those situations. And we're also going to develop the guys on our roster, and they're going to get better and they're going to grow, and we'll just be that type of program.
And you're projected to have the third highest offensive line payroll without a starting left tackle healthy and without a starting center. You guys haven't drafted an offensive lineman since you've been in charge. How much do you feel like you need to add cost-controlled youth to that group?
Yeah, I definitely feel like that is an area that I'd like to add to, even before Icky's injury. We want to obviously, like, keep our strengths strong. And I think, the only way to do that is, drafting young guys and, just stay ahead of the curve in terms of, positions and just kind of look ahead in that succession planning. But yeah, I mean, we feel good about our O-line. I'm glad we kept our core together this year because I think it really paid dividends for us this year. We had, I think, like 15 different offensive line combinations. We didn't have the same offensive line combination play together, I don't think, all year long. So getting those guys back, I think, was huge for us because they had that familiarity with our system. And I think it definitely helped us in the long term.
And there are a few guys that stood out to you this season that maybe, you were on the fence about or just weren't sure about because you hadn't seen enough. Were there a few guys on this roster that really stood out to you?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys, not to pinpoint one guy because, I was really proud of just in general how our guys competed and attacked every day out there. But yeah, I think there was a lot of really good things and, whether it's a young guy, that really showed up and showed out or, a guy that's been here and, he developed and he got better. I think that, I think there was a lot of guys that caught my eye that way.
Dave, you talk about Dave as a guy. Dave's a guy that you'd like to play for if you were a player again. Yeah. What did you see, or how did you see him grow this year? I know he talked about the importance of going into other meetings more instead of just being focused on the offense. Where did you see his growth?
Yeah, I mean, I think that right there, and I think every year, whether it's me or whether it's somebody in our building, one of our scouts, like we should be getting better every single year. We should always be looking for ways to improve, and Dave's no different. I just think he's done such a great job of like his messaging to our players on a week-to-week basis, keeping them in a positive mindset, and like I said before, just developing that culture of winning, positive attitude. Like we're going into this game to win. We're not going into this game with any questions in our heads. So I just think he's done a great job of leading our team.
You had talked, you said earlier, we expect to win or whatever, but you got a long way to go. Like, can you sort of quantify that a little bit? Like, I know what your goals are, but how far do you think you're away? You say you're not one player away. How far is this team away from going all the way?
Again, like we can talk about like, hey, I think we're going to the Super Bowl this year. Like that's our goal every year. Like we want to win the NFC South, have a home playoff game. We want to go to the NFC Championship. We want to win the Super Bowl. But I always go back to just we got to put the work in. Like everybody in this building, from myself to my scouts to the coaching staff, the assistants, the players, like nothing's going to be given to us. We have to earn everything that we want. So it's just about putting the work in and rolling our sleeves up, and that's how we're going to get to where we want to go.
And Jalen Coker's in kind of an unusual situation where he's kind of ascended to being a starter pretty early after being an undrafted free agent. He's going to be an exclusive rights free agent, can only negotiate with you guys. How do you weigh rewarding a player like that, plus also keeping an eye on the future and, his limited amount of reps and games in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of Jalen. Just another guy that has been through adversity, with injuries and has overcome it. And a credit to him, he put the work in. He got his body right, reshaped his body. He looks like a different player, and it shows on the field. And again, it goes back to the work. You put the work in the off season. You put the work in during the season. Like it's going to show on the field. And Jalen's a prime example of that just put the work in, and, he's a resilient guy. He came back and he played great. So in terms of the, contract and stuff, like that stuff, again, me and Brand are talking through and, timing on when to extend him and give him a deal. That's all stuff we're going to talk about.
Did Bryce's ankle bother him the second half of the season at all?
I think, second half of the season, I think it's not just Bryce, it's every player. I mean, everybody's dealing with something. So
he seemed to keep tweaking it. I didn't know if that was something that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was. he's the type of guy, he's never going to complain. He's going to go out there, he's going to practice, he's going to push through, and that's what you really respect about Bryce is he's a tough dude. He's a really tough dude. And if his ankle was bothering him, he sure enough didn't tell me, didn't tell coach. He just went out there and played. And again, he's selfless and he's a great teammate. And those are the type of guys that we want around here.
Do you feel like you got enough from your tight end room this year? Did you like the development, or is that an area where you think maybe there could be an opportunity for an upgrade?
I think the tight ends did a great job. I mean, from Tommy to Mitch, JT before he got hurt, James Mitchell coming in here late. We asked those guys to do a lot. We asked them to block in the run game. We asked them to protect. We asked them to run out on routes. So I think we have a really good tight end room as a whole. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that I wouldn't add somebody in the tight end room. Again, we want to create competition at every position group, so that's not out of the question.
Dan, can you speak to the chemistry that Mike Jackson and JC has developed over the past 2 seasons? And are you looking to extend Jackson beyond next season?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Mike Jack and JC. I think arguably, one of the top corner, duos in the league. And again, they put the work in. They're always out there working with each other, taking the young guys under their wing. Really good leaders out there and type of guys that we want. We extended Mike Jack last year. And again, that's something me and Brand have to talk about. He'll have 1 year left on his deal this year. And then, so it's something that me and Brand will talk through and we'll come up with a, strategy.
In terms of this year's rookie class, it seemed like there were so many players that made big impacts on the team, whether it was a starter or out on the scout team. Was there anyone that kind of exceeded your expectations or surprised you?
I'm just really proud of all of them. I think that they all competed at a high level every single day. To come in as a rookie, it's not easy, and it's not easy to play that many games and be locked in. You're usually done playing your college season. They're not used to playing as many games as we played. So for them to come in on a week-to-week basis with the work ethic, that they showed, I just thought they were all really impressive.
T-Mac finished leading rookies across multiple categories. Good chance to win Rookie of the Year. When you drafted him, did you envision even this much? I mean, what has this season been like for you just watching him?
Yeah, I think we definitely envisioned, what we got. Otherwise, I don't think we would have drafted him at number 8. So he's done a great job. Just another guy that comes in, he works, attention to detail, and it shows out on the field on Sundays.
I know Matthew Stafford's a Hall of Famer, and you didn't have J.C. Horn. But in that final drive as a former Pro Bowl defender, did you think you guys played too soft?
Again, I trust DJ and the defense that he puts out there. I'm never going to question what he does. I know he has a plan, and, same way where I have a plan for attacking free agency, attacking the draft. He trusts me, I trust him, and, that's what we have around here. We all trust each other to do our jobs, and I'm never going to question anything that he does.
On Bryce and the team, how do you balance the fact, the exuberation of everything you saw on Saturday night that was, I think you said, the best you've seen there, versus the fact you lost your last 3 games and 3 or 4 of your last 5? How do you balance that moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think we made a lot of progress, a lot of growth, a lot of development from our young guys, and even guys that were here. So we're really optimistic about the future. And like I said before, it's just about putting the work in. And, they have a taste now of that environment. If anything, I think it's just going to make guys even hungrier than they already are. The guys want to win around here. They want to bring a championship to this city, to the Carolinas, and that's their focus right now.
You guys have obviously brought in kind of a youth movement over the last 2 years, but you have 3 guys over 35 in Sam Martin, J.J. Jansen, and Andy Dalton. How much longer do you believe that those guys can still perform at the level that they are?
Yeah, I mean, they make our, like, we're the 5th youngest team, I think, in the NFL right now, so we'd probably be a little higher if we didn't have them on our team, but they're all good. They're all really good players, and they're guys that we value around here. You know, I think, you know, that's something that we'll talk about, you know, in terms of, you know, re-signing JJ, you know, re-signing all those guys. So, yeah, I think they can play as long as they want to. But, you know, it's a two-way street to where, you know, we have to figure out what's best for us, what's best for the Panthers. So we'll see moving forward.
Would you be open to developing a young quarterback behind Bryce?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we want to add competition to every room. Quarterback's no different. So yeah, that could be something that we do this offseason.
GM, is there a moment this season that will stick out to you as kind of like a core memory?
You know, I think obviously like there were some ups and downs during the season. I was just really proud of like the way our guys in the biggest moments, like they came and they competed. So like you go into Green Bay to a hostile environment and you beat a team that arguably was like the best team in the NFL at the time. Then the Rams come here, another team that was arguably the best team in the NFL. We beat them. And then to play like we did against them, you know, on Saturday night. It just makes me excited about the future. They're performing in these big games. We know we have it in us to play that type of football all the time. So that's where we just have to become more consistent. We know who we are, and just play to our standard of play.
Last two we'll have Joe, then we'll have Steve Reed.
Do you have an update on when the indoor practice facility will be done and just that whole practice area?
I don't. I think that's something, you know, you could probably talk to, you know, the other side about, but it looks like they're making progress out there. It looks like it's going to be awesome, you know, just from all the things I saw. So that'll be really cool when that's done.
And Dan, aside from Icky surgery, is there anybody else that's going to need any cleanup surgery?
There may be a few guys here and there, but nothing really major to really report to you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.